Welcome to Life Happens YouTube channel. Today we focus on how you can study overnight and pass with flying colors. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Top study hacks for the night before the exam. Physical needs. The brain and the body are linked, so before you sit down to start a study session, it's a good idea to take care of your body, go to the bathroom, get some water or tea, and be sure you're dressed in a way that won't distract you. Focus and calm are crucial to studying seriously. To get your body on the same page, try doing some deep breathing and yoga stretches to help you get your mind off any other concerns. Essentially, this prep is meant to get your body to help you, not distract you, so you have no excuses to break your study focus. Snacking during or before studying can be helpful, but choose wisely. The ideal meal is something without a lot of sugar or heavy carbs that can lead to an energy crash. Instead, grab some high-protein grilled chicken or scramble some eggs for dinner, drink green tea with acai, and follow it all with a few bites of dark chocolate. It's always easier to stay on task and process information when your brain has been given what it needs to function properly. The other upside is that by eating something before you begin studying, you'll be less tempted to get hungry and quit studying early. To further head off any distracting snack attacks, be prepared ahead of time. When you go to your study area, bring a snack with you. This should be something high in nutrients and mess-free, like mixed nuts, dried fruit, or a protein bar. Avoid highly processed foods like chips, and beware of sneaky foods like granola bars that are full of hidden sugar that will leave you stranded in an hour or so. One step at a time. Start by getting organized. Get all the materials that relate to the test you're taking, notes, handouts, quizzes, book, projects, and lay them out neatly in a way that makes sense to you. You might organize them by topic, in chronological order, or in some other way that works. Perhaps you like to use color-coded highlighters or stacks of note cards. The point is that there's no one way to organize. You have to find the best system that helps you make connections with the material. By the night before a test, you should already have a good baseline of knowledge on the test topics. That means your goal here is to review and refresh. If your teacher gave you a study guide, start with that, quizzing yourself as you go along. Refer to your other materials if you can't remember an item on the guide, and then write it down. Use mnemonic devices to help you remember bits of information that you wouldn't otherwise, but try to avoid just memorizing everything. It's harder to recall straight facts than it is to have a network of connected ideas that you can rely on. If you don't have a study guide or if you've finished going over it, prioritize notes and handouts. Things like dates, names, and vocabulary words are likely to show up on tests, so study those first. After that, review the bigger picture stuff, material that covers cause and effect relationships within the topic area and other ideas that could show up on an essay question. For these, memorization is less important than having a solid enough understanding to explain it back on a written answer. It can seem overwhelming, especially if you have a lot of material to review, so take it slowly. A good rule of thumb is to focus for 30 to 45-minute increments followed by 5-minute breaks. If you try to cram in all the information the night before the test, your brain will overload and you'll have to work to regain your focus on studying. This is why it's also useful to review for a few days before the test, not just the night before, so you can spread out the material and review everything multiple times over a few separate sessions. Buddy system. If you really want to test your understanding of the material, try explaining it to someone who isn't in the class. Get a family member or friend and teach them as much as you can remember. This will let you see how well you understand the concepts and how well you can make connections. If you have a partner or a family member to help you, have them quiz you on the material. As you go, make a list of anything you get stuck on or can't remember. Once you've been quizzed, take your list and study that material repeatedly until you've got it. Finally, write down all your mnemonic devices, important dates, and quick facts on one sheet of paper so you can refer to it the morning before the big test. Play it safe. One of the first rules for running a marathon is not to do it in new shoes. The logic of nothing new in sporting events extends to food, clothes, routines, and so on. If you haven't tried something in the past, now is not the time to experiment with a new memorization technique, pharmaceuticals, or work routines. Though with what has worked best in the past, no matter how much someone might try to convince you of a newer, better, or faster way. And this includes how much of the following advice you might want to take. Ready yourself well in advance. There is an old adage that states, well begun is half done. Even before you spend the night before an exam getting ready, you should also spend the days before the night before getting ready. The night before an exam is not the time to hunt up that book from the library your instructor insisted you look over. Everything you need to prepare for the exam should be available for your use the night before so you can make the best use of your time. Sleep is your friend. Many people think that the best use of their study time is to sacrifice sleep so that they can study more. But study after study shows that getting sufficient rest is vital to the way we consolidate new information. We recommend this: come home and take a little nap before you start to study. Then start fresh, but go to bed early. Then start studying again first thing when you wake up until it is time to take the exam. This will give you 2 opportunities to come at the material revitalized. If you skimp on sleep, you will never really feel fresh and will most likely just feel irritable, distracted, and burned out. Eat right. You want to eat healthy with a nice mix of good carbs, proteins, and fats. It would probably be best to avoid a massive carb that is just going to make you sleep with a sugar crash, especially the morning of the exam. Probably best to avoid taking on too much caffeine as well. Drink plenty of water for optimal brain function. You want to get the most out of your food and drink, but not abuse it to the point of diminishing returns. The examiner. One of the most effective ways to prepare for an exam is by actually engineering an exam for yourself. Go through all of your materials and look for possible questions. Imagine that you are the cruelest and most sadistic examiner to have lived. Then take that test. It will certainly give you an idea of where your strengths and weaknesses lie. The chances are very high that you are not the only one preparing for the same exam the night before. Find someone or a group of someones that you trust to stay on task and want to do well and study with them. It is best to arrange this ahead of time, but this can be a highly effective way of preparing for an exam. It makes the best sense, however, to keep the number small and to work with people who might be slightly higher performing than you are in class. Go offline. Unless there is some vital, study-related reason you need to be connected to Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and so on, you should consider dropping off the face of the virtual world for a few days. It might start with the need to Google the name of something that might be on the exam and end 2 hours later with you laughing over a cat video and hating how you got sucked down yet another rabbit hole. For the 24 hours leading up to the exam, the only thing you should be focused on is the exam. Everything else can wait. Limit distractions and contacts. Going along with dropping out of the internet or simply turning off your computer is limiting your distractions. These, sadly, can be several. Now certainly, there are people who actually think and work better with noise around them. But what we're talking about is the distraction that will suck up needed time. Your housemate who wants to recount last night's antics. The friend who wants to hit the shops with you. Your mom who won't stop calling. As best you can, be unavailable until exams are over. Pomodoro. As far as structuring your time goes, you can't do worse than the famous Pomodoro model of productivity. This method was developed by Francesco Cirillo and is based on those little red tomato kitchen timers. Essentially, work on one thing with the timer set for 20 minutes 25 minutes. Then take a short break. Then go another 25 minutes. After 4 minutes 5 sets of 20 minutes 25 minutes, take a long break for 15 minutes 30 minutes. Then begin again. The most important thing within this method is that for those 20 minutes 25 minutes you focus entirely on the task at hand. Be ready to go. More than likely the closer you get to the next day, and certainly the next morning, the more anxious you will become, and probably the more focused on the exam. On the day before your exam, we recommend that you gather up everything that you will need in advance. Have the clothes you will wear ready. Have what you will eat more or less ready to be eaten. It's probably even best to shower the night before. This way you will not have to put too much effort into getting ready in the morning. Go into that exam room prepared, focused, and calm. Final preparations. Nothing will make you do worse on a test than pulling an all-nighter. You may be tempted to stay up all night and cram in as much as is possible, but by all means, get some sleep the night before. When testing time comes, you won't be able to recall all the information you learned because your brain will be functioning in survival mode. On the morning of the test, make sure to eat a healthy breakfast for plenty of energy. Throughout the morning, run through your review sheet while you're eating, at your locker, or on the way to class. When it comes time to put the review sheet away and sit down for the test, you can rest easy knowing that you've done everything possible to help your brain get through the test with flying colors. Good luck, you've got this. Thank you so much for watching Life Happens YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to our channel for similar content.